we go.
There you go. Cool. So jump back to Zoom real quick. Let's make sure your audio and everything's working.
Down here. We're streaming.
Hit.
Hello. Not sure if it's working.
So I want to go back to Zoom.
Should we go here? All right. More?
Yeah, hit more. Oh, nope, your mute's going right there. Your audio's in. You're good. What's the meeting ID?
I don't know. Where's the meeting?
Where did it go? Hit more, maybe ish. Something.
No, that says stop live stream. I don't know, but
hey, it's all you.
All right. Well, I don't know. What's up, Jeff? 16 watching. The problem is, I'm watching on, like, I'm on Zoom. I can't go. If I go to YouTube, then it's delayed. So I don't know, everybody. What's happening? There were 16 I watched. I'm going to try to do it this way, and let's see what happens here. I'm going to pull it up on my phone and see if I can catch the questions that way. Still trying to figure out all this technology business. So here we go. I think I'm going to do it. So 21, I got my phone coming down. Man, I look good on a pivot. All right, here we go. I guess this is going to have to work. I have my phone pulled up, so that's going to show me who's on and who 24 watching. Wow, so cool. Well, we're going to start doing more of this sort of thing. So you got to start somewhere. And this is where we're going to start, kind of an impromptu Q&A to say hi, get some FaceTime with everybody, and obviously try to work through some of the technology issues, I guess we'll call it. So we're going to get it figured out, but we figured the best way to do it was to get on here and make something happen and kind of go from there. So this is going through Zoom. So I'm broadcasting through Zoom onto YouTube. So it's a little cumbersome because I don't have anything that shows me. I guess I could try to split screen it to get a little bit better idea of where the questions are. So we may just circumvent Zoom moving forward and just do it straight through YouTube so we can see it. It's just, I can't get the cool background here on YouTube. So I'm actually looking, there's a green screen behind me. So that's where this cool background is being thrown up. So I wanted to do that. So it looked a little bit more legit, but yeah, yeah, either way, we're going to make it work. And since we're on Zoom, we have about, I don't know, probably 45 minutes. So nothing too, we'll keep it informal, just kind of hang out, ask any questions you might have. Some people commenting on the videos, very good videos make me want to go out on the trails. That's awesome. That's the idea. That's what we want to do. Streamlabs next time is what I'm being told. It's free. All right. So Rick, I appreciate that. We're going to look into Streamlabs and see. I know there's a few different ways to do it. My man, Jeff Lanowski, was using one. I thought, or StreamYard too. StreamYard's another one. So the technical team is looking into it right now. We're going to have the technical team check that out and get all these things sorted. But in the meantime, I'm looking at 40 people on here right now. And that's pretty cool. I mean, on a Tuesday afternoon, 40 people is pretty legit. So just hanging out here in Bentonville. It's about 100 degrees. Pretty suburban Bentonville backdrop. Yeah. That'll probably be next. I think what we'll do is just constantly switch them around. Let me move over here. This backdrop right there kind of holds a special place in my heart. That was the last round of the Big Mountain Enduro Series last year in Aspen. So bittersweet to not be there. This weekend was the first round of the BME for this year. It was in Big Sky, Montana. Big Sky is one of my favorite places in the world. I literally had the best race I've ever had in my life in Big Sky last year. So it was a real bummer to miss that one, but it just wasn't in the cards to be there. So thankfully my brother was there holding it down for Team Drew, and just a smashing ride, got third. So really impressed. He rode very well. The two guys who finished in front of him were pretty legit. One of them's Mike West. The guy's a living legend. And the other one was Chris Canfield. So Canfield brothers, I'm sure most people have heard about it. So yeah, great rider. So good weekend. He had fun, got some cool POV, and made it out unscathed. So that's something that we can all be happy about. And then now he's looking forward to some Winter Park action here in a couple weeks. And then who knows what else from there. But as far as racing goes for me, it's funny, this week I actually started doing some training rides. So I'm going to try to get back into shape. I don't know when I'll race again this year, but I'm going to set my sights on some racing next year and actually get in shape and be ready to go. So yeah, a couple questions coming in, pretty good ones. Awesome videos. Usually have right pedal front, finds left turns more natural on that stance. Any advantage in swapping pedal position depending on direction of turn? Well, I'm assuming by the question you're having your pedals level. I don't ever bring level pedals into a turn. It's always inside turn up, because then that basically removes that question. If you come in inside pedal up, you can weight the outside pedal and you don't have to decide which one goes first. So hopefully that helps. Will we host a clinic in SoCal? I sure as heck hope so. We're going to be in Phoenix, October 31st, November 1st. I would love to come out the weekend after potentially and do a clinic in Southern California. So what we have to figure out is where we would do that. So drop me a message where you're at, Simon, and we can try to figure it out. Navigating the process of finding a grass area to do it and then getting a permit sometimes is difficult in newer places. But again, we'd love to do it. We have a complete setup in Phoenix. So traveling from Phoenix to Southern California, not a problem at all. And we grew up in the San Fernando Valley and Simi Valley. So we would love to come back, hang out with the homies and do one out there. So yeah, shoot me a message, Simon, either on here or on Instagram at The Rich Drew, or you can even email me if you want. It's therichdrew@therideSeriesMTB.com. But I would love to talk to you about it, because you're not the first one to ask. A lot of people have, and we would love to do it. Maybe I missed it, but I'm assuming you're no longer sponsored by Pivot. I'm not. I was a factory Pivot rider for 2 years, for 2018, 2019. It was really cool. It was almost, I would say it was a dream come true. To be a factory rider was rad. Amazing experience, did some cool things, got to race a lot. And it got to a point where racing wasn't everything for me. I really enjoyed it, but I think my role is more kind of as an ambassador and maybe an advocate for the community at large. So I made the decision to become brand agnostic. And the idea was I could take my skill set and my abilities and try to get out and ride as many bikes as possible and give as much insight as I could to those bikes. And that's what I have been trying to do. So that's why you see me on a ton of different bikes. I try to get on as many bikes as I can, just to say what I think about them, not necessarily to say, are they good or bad bikes? I'm not really the person to say that. What I want to do is basically give insight to who I am as a rider, ride the bikes in as many places or styles of terrain as I can where I'm at, and then just give you my take on it. And if what I say resonates with you, then that's awesome. That'll better equip you to make a decision on potentially buying that bike. But when you get $2,500 and up, I think most bikes are good bikes. So that's kind of where I come from. I love riding bikes, and I've very rarely, if ever, been on a bike at that price range that just said, man, this is not a good bike. So So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm going to talk more about it. I'll go a little bit deeper into that whole topic of kind of like who I ride for and what the goal of this is, what the vision, what the idea is. I think there's a lot to talk about, and I'll definitely dedicate something just to that. So you mentioned going to get in shape for some racing. What do you recommend on and off the bike? Well, for me, it's a balance of getting on the bike, actually spending some time riding. It's been a long time since I've actually gone out and just ridden for fitness. I ride a lot more just for fun. And when I go out around here, it ends up being a lot of marketing, so to speak. So yeah, I love it. It's really cool that that's my position, but now I try to sneak out and do some rides for longer periods of time. So just get my legs acclimated. The other thing is getting in the gym and just doing some basic strength training, nothing crazy, some push pull with the legs, push pull with the upper body, some midline work, and then tighten the diet up a little bit. The nutrition, nothing crazy, but eating a lot of bagels, a lot of pizza recently. So it's starting to weigh a little bit. So getting better with that. And again, something else that I'm going to make some training videos that'll give you a little bit more insight to that. My man, Andrew, what's up, dude? Best trail to session over and over in Slaughter Pen. Bro, where do you start? It's tough. Slaughter Pen has some really good stuff. Nowadays, I really like Hammer Down. So that's a really good one. I also like at the bottom of All American. So Slaughter Pen Phase 1, Progressive Trail Design just finished up the end of All American, and I love that. So basically all the way down. So to answer your question, Andrew, it's where we worked on the wooden rollers where you were hammering down on that pumping setup. So I like that spot a lot, but man, there's so many. It's just hard to choose because everything is so good. Wales, UK, Essex, UK. Heck yeah. That's what I love about this is people from all over the world watching. So cool. So cool. It's better to learn to jump on an MTB or should I get a dirt jumper and practice on that? Alex, I think it's a great question. And my advice is learn on what you're going to ride consistently. The dynamics of a dirt jumper, I think, are quite a bit different than the full suspension mountain bikes that I'm riding. So if you learn on a dirt jumper and then go back to riding a full suspension mountain bike, I think it's very different. So I would definitely say try to learn on what you're going to be riding. Pizza will get you. Heck yeah, it will. Are most bikes in the $7,000 plus range equally as good? It's tough to say. I think good's a relative term. $7,000 is a lot of money to spend on a bike. That's a lot. I mean, it's really tough to spend that much money. And I would say you don't need to spend $7,000. I've been riding a Fazzari Delano Peak that retails for $34.99. It's a fabulous bike. Trying to get a giant Trance X29 that retails for, I think the 2 version retails for well under $3,000. I think you got to go with what deal you can get. There's a lot of bikes right now that are really good. So you try to ride as many as you can. You try to get as much insight as you can and get the best deal you can. I mean, seriously, $7,000, you could spend $4,000, get a great bike, and you have $3,000 maybe for upgrades if you want, or to go take a trip somewhere. So I would probably look at it that way. Top 3 skills that a new rider should master before trying jumps and drops. It's a pretty good one. Pretty good one. I would say, I don't know if I'd even call them skills. Let's just call them tenets. Body position is the first one. So literally, if I only had 5 minutes with somebody, it would be about body position. Stay centered over the bike. Most bikes, pretty much all bikes nowadays, they're designed to work with the center of mass over the center of the bike, especially a full suspension bike. So if you start to creep your weight back, you're going to overload the rear suspension and it's not going to work properly. So body position is critical. I think beyond that, trying to get as relaxed as you can and finding a place to progress. Those are the 3 important things. People try to progress way too quickly, in my opinion. Start small and slowly get better, slowly build more confidence. And when I say slowly, I mean slowly. And that's the toughest thing to convey to people. I started racing BMX when I was 5. I've been jumping bikes my entire life. I have thousands and thousands of hours of data, of reps, and you can't just cram that in. I can't download that to somebody. You need to take your time getting that and slowly build that data. And it's going to be good experiences and it's going to be bad experiences. So you have to take the good with the bad, and you're going to get better. And there you have the facts of life and the facts of jumping. So yeah, great question. Top 5 bucket list type of rides to do. Man, that's a great question. I would say a long ride, and that's all relative. What's long for you? If you've done 15, 20 miles, man, try to push it to 35 or 40 if you can. One of the best rides I ever did was like a 107-mile ride on my mountain bike in Dallas. I rode from my house through downtown to a really cool trail, rode a couple laps, and then came back. And it was brutal, but it really, I think it changed me a little bit. When you push through something like that, it helps you realize how important this is, what you can do if you set your mind to it. I know it's kind of cliche, but it's definitely true. I think you need to do some big mountain rides, go to a bike park or get up in the mountains and ride in the mountains. It's kind of a cathartic experience. If you're really into it, I would say make a pilgrimage to Whistler. Whistler, it's just an incredible place. If you can go there for Crankworks, it's a sight to behold, definitely. And that part of the country has some incredible riding. And I would definitely say Bentonville, Arkansas. I don't joke, but I make a point to say mountain bike capital of the world in all of my videos. And I will continually talk about why that is. I would stand up in front of anybody and debate. I'm not going to say argue, but I would debate as to why Bentonville is the mountain bike capital of the world. And it comes back to, there's nowhere in the world that I know of that has this volume of trails, this condensed and this diverse. I can ride a lot of the trails here with my 4-year-old son and my wife. And the majority of the riders fall in that realm. I would love to ride big mountains. I would love to ride Whistler. But if you just take the percentage of mountain bike riders as a whole, they are newer riders. Most of them don't even want to ride mountains. So that's why I think this place fits that moniker. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I think that was 4, but we're getting, oh yeah. So you said top 3. So I gave you 4. There's a bonus. Okay. You're learning to get air on the trail. What kind of jump would you recommend? I would always recommend a tabletop, and I would say try to find one that's a little bit longer. So a lot of them are really steep and short, and you got to be careful because the shorter it is and the more aggressive the transition is, the more energy that's being built and the more difficult it is to deal with that. So understand that. Most people see bigger jumps and they get a little scared. To an extent, bigger jumps, longer jumps are going to be better because you have more of a window to deal with that energy that's being created. So at the Ride Series, when we do our jump events, we have an MTB Hopper Pro. And when you look at that thing, it's pretty big. It's somewhat menacing. But once people actually hit it, they realize, wow, it's probably the friendliest out of all the jumps we have because it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm always a fan of a tabletop because then you can come in really slow, land right on top, get comfortable with the energy, and then slowly bring in a little bit more. Most people, in my opinion, when they're jumping, the issue they have is they bring in too much speed. So if you're not clearing something, instead of going faster, try to load into the takeoff and build more height because you're going that way, you're going to get a little bit more distance. So yeah. Do you have any sections on a trail that scare you? And if so, how do you approach those? Heck yeah, I do. Steeps, really gnarly steep chutes, loose turns. Those are always something that get in my mind. And when I am in those situations, I try to slow down. I try to relax. I try to analyze what I'm dealing with. And then I try to default to using the best technique I can. You're going to be frightened at times. It's human reaction. It's a positive thing. It's going to hopefully keep you alive. But at the same time, what you have to try to do is manage that fear and decide, is this something that is within my skill set, or is this my opportunity to push it a little bit and grow as a rider? And if you can answer that, then you try to bring in as sound technique as you possibly can. And hopefully you have the wherewithal to really be cognizant of what's happening and really take in that data. So when you do it again, it's better. You're a little more confident. You apply the technique even better, and you continue to grow as a rider. I think that's kind of the holy grail. And good news is that never ends. You'll always be in that position. I don't care who you are or how good you are, that'll never end. You'll always be in that position. So do you recommend a bike to someone that's tough enough to take a beating and not going to immediately turn them off due to frustration? Oh, Josh, what a great question. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. That's something that is so difficult to answer. And here, I mean, we're seeing it all the time. You know, so many people are new to riding mountain bikes here. They want to become part of the community, but they don't know what they don't know. And I've been in conversations with people where they go, oh man, I'm going to go for it. Okay. I'm going to drop $500 on a bike. And it's kind of hard because you want to chuckle immediately and say, well, add another zero to that and you're going to be in the game, which you don't have to spend anywhere near that money. But I think, you know, Josh, best way I would describe it is you got to try to do a needs assessment. Like somebody like you who's an athlete, you have to take that in consideration. Say, look, if you're an athletic person and there's a really good chance you're going to give this a good go and get into it, I would say you need to spend a little bit more money up front and get a better bike. And I think the way to make that happen is a little bit of education. So for example, somebody who doesn't know and they think, well, 500, 1500, what's the difference? Well, full suspension bike is going to be a little bit more comfortable. You're probably going to get better geometry, meaning you're going to get a little bit slacker head tube angle, which is going to give you a little bit more stability. A little bit longer wheelbase is going to give you a little bit more stability. So I think when you convey those things to somebody who's in that position to make the purchase, they can probably justify it a little bit more. And then what it can come back to is, have you priced a broken collarbone? Like literally, I'm not trying to make a joke, but if you get a bike that could potentially put you in a position or you override that bike's capability and you can do that, you could potentially get hurt. And that costs a lot more upfront and long-term than it would if you would have just spent a little bit more money on a bike. So great question. Pivot Mach 5 versus Switchblade. Advantages, disadvantages of each. You know, two very different bikes. Switchblade, 29-inch wheels. Generally speaking, a lot of people like the 29-inch wheels. The 5.5, fantastic bike. I had a blast riding my 5.5. It's very fun. It's not going to pedal as well as a Switchblade, I don't think. And on the high end, is it going to be as capable as a Switchblade? Probably not. So you need to make that decision. Is your goal fun? There aren't any things much more fun to me than riding a 5.5 with some 27.5 2.6 tires and just ripping. Like it's rad. I raced the first 3 BMEs on it because I thought it was a really cool bike. So yeah. How about this? You can't go wrong either way. How do you work in strength training for legs when you are riding a lot? You know, that's a tough one, Ben. You got to be careful, man. You got to find a balance, especially at 51. You know, I'm 42 and I'm starting to wear out a little bit more. So I kind of ratchet it up and down, like kind of have some ebb and flow. So maybe go a little bit more strength work with the legs and kind of dial down the intensity on the bike, and then vice versa week to week. Really back down one to go up with another. You got to find that balance, I think. One thing I also like is unilateral work. So for legs, you do a lot of unilateral work. It seems to have a really good crossover to the bike, and generally it doesn't tax the central nervous system as much, for me, is what I found. So I think that's a pretty good way to do it. What's your favorite Fox fork? The current 36 Grip 2, I would say probably is my favorite. I have very little time on it. And I'm actually trying to get a 36 and a 38 and a couple of X2s for my e-bikes, for my Levo and my Levo SL. So hopefully we can make something happen. Any plans for clinics again soon? We're having them right now. If you go to the Ride Series mtb.com, you can click to book an upcoming event, and there is a schedule there. We have events scheduled in Bentonville, Dallas, Phoenix, Denver. So anybody who's around the Denver area, we got one coming there. And I am trying right now. I literally was on the phone earlier going back and forth trying to get a spot, get a permit in Austin, San Antonio. So if you're out there in any of those cities or around those cities, I want to come down there. There's a lot of people in Houston, San Antonio, Austin that want an event. I want to bring one down. It's just a matter of finding a place. I got to find a spot. So I want to make sure I do it right. And so if you know of a place, reach out, let me know. I'd love to talk. Okay, you coming to race Sansom in October? I'd like to, if I can. It's just hard. The weekends are very busy. So yeah. Consider doing a Making a Trip to Bentonville series. It's funny you say that, Spartan MTB. Yes, to answer your question, yes, I would love to do that. I would really like to do that, and I'm trying. Hopefully everybody understands these videos are not cheap. I don't shoot these videos. I don't edit these videos, the good ones, like the hammer down one we did. So there's a cost to doing these videos. And slowly but surely, we're starting to get some people on board to help underwrite and defer some of those costs. So I would love to do a Making a Trip to Bentonville series. It's just a matter of getting some people on board that will help fund that. In the meantime, I have to do the things that we can get the funding for. And believe it or not, that's not one right now. So yeah, I would love to. Roy, are you going to do a how to bunny hop? At some point I will, but this, for the 118 people watching, I've been trying to write that out for 3 months now. And this is what it boils down to. I just bunny hop. Like, I'm trying to break down how to explain how to do it, and it's very difficult. So I need to get to the point where I'm really comfortable with what the outline looks like, and then we'll do it. So hopefully we can get there soon, because, you know, the bunny hop, it turns out, is a fairly important thing. It's important. It's important, and I want to be able to do it. A lot of people have done it, and a lot of people have done it well. So trying to find a way to make it a little bit different. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. So it might be trying to just convey it in my way and see if that works, see if that resonates with people. So yeah. Where to camp? Yeah, that's a good one. Where to camp? There's not a whole lot of places, so we'll get there. Somebody starting out, full suspension or hardtail? Mike, it's tough, man. There's a lot of cool trail hardtails, but I'm a fan of full suspension bikes. I've ridden some hardtails and they're fun for a short amount of time. And this is personal opinion. I would rather have a full suspension bike. I think it's the way to go. It's more comfortable. I think it's more fun. I think it's more forgiving. So yeah, the Northeast, I want to come to the Northeast. Tag, at some point, we're going to do it. It's going to be a little bit. We'll try to sneak out there if we can sometime this fall, but next year we're going to make it happen next year. I promise. It's a matter of just having all the pieces fall into place and getting venues set and things like that. So I'm working on all of that. I would like to take the ride series to as many cities as we can, but at the same time, we got to be careful about what that looks like, because being away for 3-4 weeks, especially if we do an East Coast swing, that can get fairly difficult. I need to try to balance, especially now with the production work ramping up with Chain Drive Media. We got to balance what we're doing. So we're definitely trying. So hopefully we can keep the growth going of the ride series strategically and bring it to more cities and maybe get more people to come here. We can only go to so many. But I think if we're strategic about where we go around the country, people can travel in from other places. So my hope is that we can do that we can make that happen. So we're definitely trying. Another great question. Can you share tips on hitting drops where the takeoff is rough? Ben, yes. We're in the queue. We have a video to talk about that. It's an interesting thing. Some of those are tough to get to film, and you have to be able to get a really good side view of those. And that's my best advice, is try to take a look at the side. If you can get a look at it, that's going to help you a lot. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're running in blind, and it's tough, man. You know, the drop video has been something that I guess have had to defend more than any others. And I'll certainly do it because it comes back to it's what I do. You know, some people have said I describe it differently, or I describe something different than what I actually do. You know, that's fine. My technique is my technique. It's my brother's technique. The fastest people I've ridden with in the world, that's the technique. And just because they're fast isn't the reason that they're doing that. I think they're doing it because it's the most effective. Now, if your idea of fun is blasting off something big, then it's a little bit different. But when you're in that situation where it's rocky and it's sketchy coming in, man, there's a lot going on. And I would say keep your body position as far forward as you can. That's the simplest thing. From there, do whatever you have to do to get off. I don't care, but don't come into the takeoff or the edge of that drop leaning back. That's the worst thing you can do. So stay forward and stay centered. So I'm from the UK, just discovered your videos. So intuitive and helpful. Awesome. Mr. Shawboy, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. It's really cool to get insight like that from people literally all over the world. It's rad. It's really cool to see all this. Hi from Portugal. Hey, greetings from Bentonville, Arkansas, mountain bike capital of the world. So fall season log hopping video. I've gotten a couple of those log hopping videos. We'll get one soon. That's on the list. Pisgah, Ben, you know I want to hit Pisgah soon. Definitely soon. So Paul, intermediate level jumper, clearing most jumps on blue trails. What's the best way to progress to black level jumps? Your clinic. Of course, my clinic, always. The clinic would be a great place because you can get some really good feedback in an environment that's very safe and very friendly. But even after that, you still have to bring it to the trails. So what I would say is stick to the blue jumps, get a tripod and set your camera up from the side and get some slow-mo video and really break down what it looks like. If you take that video and you kind of compare and contrast to the jump video that I did, that'll give you a really good feel for what does your body position look like. So you have to have your hips opened up, you have to have your legs opened up, and look at your feet. So for 126 people watching, I'm going to give you one of the biggest cues to look at when you're jumping and to see, are you being as effective as you can? Look at your feet. So if you don't follow my Instagram at the Rich Drew, I'm going to post this video here in about an hour or so. It's a slow motion video of me jumping the heels. You have to push your heels through the takeoff. So this is probably the easiest way to describe it. When you're coming off a jump, the takeoff isn't over when the front wheel comes off. The takeoff is over when the rear wheel comes off. So if you start to think about that and you think about driving your heels down all the way until the rear comes off, then rolling your feet forward, that'll help you get the bike rotated forward. That's going to be something that I think will be a game changer for a lot of people. What I just described, actually, we are going to do a video about. We're literally going to break apart the takeoff of a jump because so many people, I can't get any more pop. How do I get more height? So we're going to try to dissect getting more height and try to have it make more sense to people. So we're going to do that soon. 15 years since I've been on MTV. Bought a brand new Diamondback Mason. Yeah, that's cool. Still planning a longer term review on the Giant E. Yes, actually, we already filmed it. I have it. I just have to edit it. Giant has been awesome. So I got to get that bike back to them. Giant Rainy, I can tell you right now, it's been an awesome bike. I mean, bulletproof. The thing is an absolute monster truck. I wish I had proper trails to ride it on. There's just nothing here anywhere near gnarly enough for that bike. It just laughs at all of it. So yeah, I'll hopefully get that in the next day or two. It's been a really good bike. It's been a very solid bike. I've ridden a lot of e-bikes up to this point after that. And I'm okay saying some are a little bit more refined than the Giant, but again, they're a lot more money. And I would think you're probably going to see some updates coming soon from Giant on that bike, but I've had a blast on it. I think it's a great bike. All right, Sam, really awesome videos. Thank you, Sam. I like that. Drops where the approach is downhill. That's a good one. That's one that we've talked about. I think you're going to see another drop video, and we're going to go to things less manicured, and we will add that in. So yeah, when will you be doing the Troy midterm review? Okay, so great question. Troy, I don't have the Troy anymore. I got rid of the Troy. Troy's amazing. Awesome bike. I will have another one soon. I'm already trying to make moves to get another Troy. And when I get it, we'll probably do something else. So that's coming. Second, your initial thoughts on the Spur. Is it worth buying now with known RockShox issues? So great one. Really cool. And this kind of goes back to why I'm doing what I'm doing. The idea here is to ride as many bikes as I possibly can. And I borrowed the Transition Spur from a guy I know, came through the clinic, because I wanted to ride it, because it looked like an awesome bike on paper. And when I saw it in person, it literally is one of the best looking bikes I've ever seen. So I got it and I rode it, and it was rad. It was a kick-ass bike, but it was just too small. I had fun. It was kind of like a BMX bike, but I really wanted to ride a large. And when I did that video, I said, hey, if you're out there listening, I'd love to get it. And again, one of the coolest things about being in this position, last week, I get an email from Lars Sternberg at Transition. And the subject line was, we were listening. So long story short, there is a Spur, an X01 Spur coming in large. So I'll have a media demo bike here, hopefully very soon, and I'll be able to log some solid miles on that. So I'll give you my, I guess we'll call them longer term impressions. Part of what made that bike so amazing was the RockShox suspension. I have no problem saying that. Yeah, known issues with RockShox. Yeah, that's life. I don't have any issue with that, because there's always going to be issues when mechanical things are involved, and how does that company deal with them? As far as I know, they're dealing with them very well. So the performance out of the product on that bike is pretty awesome. And I got some time on a Specialized Epic Evo with the same stuff, and it's just rad. Like, it works really well for a 120 mil fork and a 120 mil shock that's that small to work that well. It's awesome. So I was really impressed with that stuff. So yeah, but again, I'll get that other bike, I'll ride it longer, and we'll see. Like, I don't have a whole lot of time, obviously, on, I think it's the Sid Ultimate, and I think it's the Game Day damper. Hopefully getting a couple weeks on it. And actually, when I do that, there's a tuner called Trail Labs here in Springfield, and Will is the head honcho over there. I talked to him yesterday. So once I get that bike, I'm going to ride it for a little bit, and then we'll actually roll up there and take the suspension apart and service it and see how it did. So we're going to make a video about that so you can see. So yeah. What's your opinion about using upper body protection when riding trails? I'd say wear what you dig, man. If you want to use it, use it. No problem saying, if I was racing this last weekend, I would have a chest protector on. It's pretty funny. I'm looking at that shot, and the only reason, and this is so bad, but the only reason I don't have a chest protector on in that picture behind me is because I knew that picture was going to be taken. But I got down to the bottom and put my chest protector back on, and I actually crashed at Snowmass. So if anybody's familiar with, there's a really cool downhill, and it's got this pretty gnarly drop off, and I came ripping into it in my race run, and my line coming into it was just way better. So I carried too much speed and just came blasting off this thing and fully had to eject. And I pretty much destroyed the back of my chest protector. So if I hadn't been wearing it, I would be jacked. So yeah, I would say the more, the better. And I had a Liat, like moto style outboard protector, but when I race again, I'm going to wear one of the Liats that fits close to your skin and side zips. It's really good. So there's a lot of really good protection, and I think it's definitely worth it. It might be a little uncomfortable at first, but after a little bit of time, you don't even know it's there. So, all right. I have still trouble dead sailor on smaller kickers. You know, anybody who's doing that dead sailor on small kickers, just slow down. You know, try to slow down as much as you can. And that's where you try to work on getting a little more pop off those things, because then if you slow down, here's what I come back to is if you short something like this going slower, it's not that big of a deal. If you come in ripping and hit something and get bucked and land on your face or your shoulder, that's bad. So generally speaking, try to slow down, find a safe spot, and then work up as you get more comfortable. That's generally what helps. Yeah, technical drops without a smooth lip. Looking forward to the less manicured coaching. Cool. Yeah. We're working on it. It's hard. Some of those situations, some of those areas, it's hard to get in there and film, but yeah, we're going to do it. Definitely. Bentonville, getting into MTB is a alternative. Watching all your videos for great tips. Heck yeah, Mike. Come on, man. You're going to love it out here. Bought the Fazzari Delano Peak. Nice move, Justin. Heck of a bike, man. I still have mine. I love it. Riding it as much as I can. Spartan MTB, any collaborations planned with other YouTubers? Lots of great creators out there. Yeah, there's a ton, really. I would love to do something. I don't know many of them, and I really don't know how to go about making that happen. And right now, it's just kind of a weird time. Brian Kennedy, I know somewhat. We talked a little bit on Instagram, and he's talked about trying to come out and do a jump session. So I would love to do that. I would love to hook up with my favorite YouTuber, and that's Kyle Warner. Kyle and April, actually. So Kyle and I have talked about doing some things. So yeah, I'll do that. Dennis, big fan of your videos and live chats. Any plans on enabling super chat? I don't even know what super chat is. So I'll look into it, but it sounds like something I need to enable. Wait a minute. Is super chat? I think that's the thing where people's comments maybe get highlighted. Yeah, if that's what it is, I want to do that. I'm trying to get better at this. Like we tried to do it through Zoom, but I'm going to try to do these 120. I'll try to do these once a week. So kind of until we figure out a podcast, we'll try to do these once a week. So yeah, hold me to this. Definitely. That's what I can say. So yeah, it'll definitely get a little bit better. Big love from the UK. Thanks, Too Old for Two Wheels. You're never too old for two wheels. How's COVID affected your business content stream? You just got to do what you can do. Thankfully for me, I'm in a really good place. It's awesome. It's such a cool community here. And thankfully we've been able to do very well. I can make more content. I can do small group clinics. So I'm very thankful for that. I know a lot of people have struggled and my heart really hurts for them. And it's a really strange time. It is. And instead of getting frustrated, I've just tried to do what I can content wise to just make people happy, give them some information, keep them entertained, be positive. It's hard at times. It's not always easy, but if we collectively, I think, and try to stay positive, it'll certainly get better. I had to cancel a lot of clinics when it started and it was rough, but what I came back to was I can't control that. I have no control of that. So instead of being frustrated and being sad and not really being able to figure out what to do, I just looked at it and said, what can I do? And what I could do is just make content. Just make as much content as I can and just hope something works out. At the very least, if I make some content that makes somebody smile or makes them happy or helps them make a decision on a bike, then that's awesome. Like I've done something that I can be proud of and that's helped people. So that's the main goal of this. Like all these videos, it's to give people insight to hopefully help them look at their riding a little bit differently and have a little bit more fun, be a little bit more confident. Riding bikes is really fun. And the better you get, the more fun it is. And that never ends because you'll never master it. And it puts you in a position to do a lot of different things. So that's, I think, the goal of this is we want to entertain, we want to be professional. And I say we, like, it's not just me. There's a small little team here. My man Brock is the one that shoots a lot of these videos, the good ones, and edits them. And the dude works his butt off. So I'm excited because it looks like we're starting to kind of gain some traction. Hopefully we can put some things together to keep making more of these videos keep making certain series, like the how-tos, keep those going. But the best trails in Bentonville, like to keep that going, because that's something that we could make a lot. I mean, there's a lot of trails here, and they're very diverse. There's trails for everybody to ride. Like literally, I could probably make 3 or 4 videos on stuff that my 4-year-old son would ride, my wife would love, and that I would love. And there aren't many places that can say they have those sort of things. So yeah. Let's see here. Ooh, my feet come off the pedals when hitting jumps. Body bike separation. Any tips? I've watched your jump videos. So Hariz, I think is how you pronounce it. Common. It's a common thing. What that's telling you is you're not loading your feet enough. So if you keep loading your feet, what's going to happen is the bike's going to then push back against you, and you're going to open up with the bike. So telltale sign that you're not loading through is when the feet are coming off the bike. So another great one that we're going to make a video on. I'm going to throw the flat pedals on, and I'm going to try to show that to people, because there's enough input from people that are riding flat pedals. I'm not as hardcore as my brother is on that. If you're running flat pedals, that's cool. Do what you want. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to have fun on the bike. So I will be uncomfortable on flat pedals for your benefit. So, all right, Jose, love your clips. Do you take a different approach when teaching older riders? Should older riders stop taking on some features? I'm 50 and have a hard time knowing. I don't, Jose. I don't generally don't take a different approach, because what I can come back to is the bike doesn't know any different. The bike doesn't know how old the rider is. The bike doesn't know if it's male or female. Riding is riding. Technique is technique. I think instead of looking at age, I think you need to look at where your skill level is. And that's something that is tough for some people. There's people that come through a Ride Series clinic that have been riding for, a long time. And it doesn't mean that they're great riders. So there's people that have been riding for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're just incredible athletes. So yeah, I think that the technique is the technique, and getting a firm understanding and knowing where you're at. That's the important thing. Don't try to get lucky. Don't send it. Make a calculated decision on risk. So yeah, man, we got a bunch of other ones. We're only going to do a couple more because we got to end this fairly soon before the thing turns off on me. So let's see here. I saw one about perfect amount of suspension when riding Bentonville. 120 rear, 140 front, I think is plenty for most. I was on that spur 120. I'd rip that thing all over. I think it's more what you're into. I rode that bike behind me right there, 162, 170 rear. I did a 51-mile ride on that bike here. I mean, whatever you want, whatever bike you want, ride it. I don't think there's too much. It can be too little if you're trying to ride something a little bit bigger, but ride whatever you want. Jeremy, heck yeah, dude, had a blast. I thought you said you're coming up here soon, so you got to keep me posted. How does the Delano Peak compare to the new Switchblade? Very well. Actually really well. Both great bikes. A little bit different in geometry with the seat tube angle and the head tube angle on the Delano. I would like to get back on the Switchblade to give a little bit better answer for that. It's been a long time. I rode it for a couple days, and I just haven't been able to put it back together with them to get another one. But I would love to get a Switchblade to ride out here to give a better opinion. It's hard to compare two bikes that I haven't ridden in the same terrain, and it'll get there hopefully soon. Man, do you recommend riding for riding fitness or other cross train? I'm a big fan of being in the gym and being an athlete. Helping myself be better on the bike is important, and you can do that, especially at 42, by being in the gym. Your reverse chain, so everything you can't see behind you, get that stronger. If you get that stronger, that's definitely going to make you a better rider. It's going to make you a better human being. Your life's going to be better if you're a stronger individual. And if you had 6 hours a week to ride, I would dedicate one of those hours to some strength training, some mobility, maybe even 2 of those hours, because If you do that for 2 hours, you're really going to enjoy those other 4 hours a lot more. So, all right, this is awesome. We got some great questions, 132 people. So I like this. I'm going to make some notes about what we can do better. And I'm going to look into a couple of these live streams, but keep your eyes out. I'll post it on Instagram first, and then I'll post it probably a couple hours in advance here when I'm going to do these on YouTube. And my goal is to try to do them in varying times of the week and times of the day. So shoot me a message somehow if you're somewhere like in the UK. I have no idea what time it is right now. So shoot me a message about what time would be best to do one of these, and then give me some topic ideas. I have some really good ideas about what we're going to talk about. And the reason I want to do Zoom is I want to bring some people in when we do this. So give me those ideas, keep the questions coming, and we're going to do this. We're going to do this again real soon. So this was awesome. I'm jacked, 130 people. That's cool. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and hopefully you got something out of it. So with that, I'm going to say have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and we will do this again soon. Peace out, dumpers.